Hello, hello. How you guys doing this evening? Hope and pray everyone is having a blessed day, evening, starting of the weekend type of deal, and in that we give glory and honor to the Most High, Yahweh. So you guys, we're here this evening, and we're gonna start this thing now. All right. So I was trying to. There we go. We got somebody coming on. So I don't know who it is, but blessings to you. Maybe I'll see your name later on. But anyway, let's talk about this thing here. As I was preparing this lesson, I took a break from time to time, and just to relax my mind a little bit. And so I couldn't help but notice on Facebook there was a number of individuals on Facebook that was speaking on the topic of relationships. Okay, Miss Ryan's, blessings to you. Good to see you this evening. And so the Holy Spirit has this way of speaking and confirming things. And I was actually wrestling with the thought that maybe this was meant for another time, or maybe it wasn't even, meant to be spoken on at all. But for some reason, I kept getting led back to the book of Hosea. And so the book of Hosea is where we're going to be reading from. And the book of Hosea actually reveals to us an expression as a concern for Yahweh's relationship with Israel, Yahweh's people. And he's calling for them to come back to their first love. And note, when I mentioned Yahweh's people, I used Israel in place of Israel. Blessings to you, God Mama. Good to see you this evening. And so Yahweh in short is Yah. Okay, Yah is his name, the God of the Bible. Okay, that terminology that we're so familiar with. And so tagging on the end of the Israel, Yah. Okay, El is in actuality is the name of a Canaanite deity. Okay, and so in Amos 9, okay, I'll refer to Amos 9. It was a prophetic word given by Yahweh. He said that in that day I will raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. And that they may possess the remnant of Edom and all of the other nations which are called by my name, says Yahweh. So if his people are called by his name, they truly wouldn't have the title of another deity added to the name. Okay, so that's just the understanding there. And Yahweh's glory is not to be shared with another. Apostle Miller, blessings to you. It's an honor to see you this evening. So what is his name? Yahweh is what most people somewhat are familiar with, though only on the surface that name is revealed. So as you go further into the word, you begin to see that the name given to Moses is not just YHWH. Instead, it's YHVH. The English language has translated it as a W, but in the Hebraic language, there is no such letter as a W. So the letter used there is Vav, just like the sound used to describe it, with a B. So the nation of Israel was influenced. Okay, just going backwards a little bit, trying to gather an explanation to everything. But we're going to get on this relationship intimacy. You'll see. And so the nation of Yah was influenced many ways by the nations that they came from, the nations that they came out of, the nations that they were conquered by. The nations that they compromised with and blended customs with. Okay. And so these influences are indeed what caused them to disobey the separate order that Yahweh had for his own. Okay. And I'm gonna go to Ezekiel 16:2 for a moment. We won't be in Ezekiel long because, like I said, we're going to be reading from Hosea. But I just want to touch something real quick in Ezekiel. Okay. Ezekiel 16th chapter. Starting at verse 2. It says here, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations, and say, Thus saith Yahweh, Yah, unto Jerusalem, Thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother was a Hittite. So that's just to give support to what I was talking about with this El coming from being the Canaanite deity, the language that they used to explain the Most High. So a lot of these titles and names that they learned to use for the Most High and their traditions and customs came from these native lands. Okay. And so even the lands that they ended up submitting to at some point or another, the traditions they got from them, they held on to and they never let go, and they never severed ties with the worldly way of thinking. Okay. And so these practices carried over. Mr. Gullich, blessings to you. Good to see you this evening. These practices, they carried over from other nations, influencing the nation of Yah's people. Okay, that's the explanation there with the name. So that's why you have people like Jeremiah and Isaiah reaching over to the renewed testament, and people like Paul that spoke against these customs adopted from other nations. So that's where we begin to understand the call of 2 Corinthians to come out from among them and be separate. And also the cry of Jeremiah where he says, learn not the way of the heathen. Okay, so the heathen nations. And so, this is really, really getting deep into the word. And so a lot of people don't want to get deep, but this is not for everybody. But there is a remnant. I mean, actually, it is for everybody, but a lot of people don't choose it. But, like I was about to say, there is a remnant that is searching for truth and that are willing to submit and abide in the word of truth. OK, and so Yeshua said, if you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. Now, don't get so carnal minded that you miss the real message that's given there. OK. And Yeshua also says, if you love me, you will obey my command. He says, I am the true vine and my Father is the gardener. OK, he is the vine. We are the branches. And if we remain in him, we will bear much fruit. Apart from him, we can do nothing. OK, and so we are to remain in his love by obeying the commands in his word so that his joy may be in us and that our joy may be complete. OK, and so this relationship intimacy is revealed when we become one with the Father, one with his word. OK, and so we can't become one with this word by holding on to the traditions of man and putting those before the commands of Yah. OK, and so what does the word say? No one can serve two masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he'll be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve Yah and mammon, money. OK, and what does the word also say about that? For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. OK, and so, when the veil is removed, we will truly see that these customs and traditions are practices that promote funding economically, and so, what ends up happening is the thanks, the thank you for showering us with your blessing. Those thanks goes to the idols or symbols of tradition being revered at that time, whatever time it may be. OK, and so and where did this practice come from? It came from heathenistic, paganistic ideology. And truth be told, there's no way around that. Okay. If you just search a little, you'll see it. But you have to be willing and open to allow the Spirit to reveal those things to you and accept what you find. And so, in the hearts of man, the idols take place. The idols take the place of Yahweh. Okay. And the way of life takes the place of Yeshua. And so, Ms. Ryans, thank you for those blessings. I accept those and I return them to you as well. And so what ends up happening, the commands and the ways of Yah ends up being forgotten. Remember that. Okay, so cause in his word, he's saying, don't do it. Don't do it. But our actions and determination is to justify heathen and pagan practices and mix it up into some good stew and present it at our appointed time. Not even our appointed time. Like I said, is these pagans' appointed time that we choose to present our sacrifice or our whatever you want to call is what is being done at that time. I'll just stop it right there. But and is that their appointed times? We've forgotten his appointed times. Okay, and so, but like I said, I'm not gonna press that fact right now. But I'm just saying, and my brothers and sisters, that ought not be so. And so, let's begin at Hosea. Okay, let's get back to Hosea. Okay, Hosea, Book of Hosea. And I'm gonna be reading the second chapter, the whole chapter. Okay. All right. So here we go. Say ye unto your brethren, Ami, and to your sisters, Ruhama. Plead with your mother. Plead, for she is not my wife, neither am I her husband. Let her, therefore, put away her whoredoms out of her sight, and her adulteries from between her breasts. Lest I strip her naked and set her as in the day that she was born, and make her as a wilderness, and set her like a dry land, and slay her with thirst. And I will not have mercy upon her children, for they be the children of whoredoms. For their mother hath played the harlot, she hath conceived them, hath done shamefully. She that conceived them hath done shamefully. For she said, I will go after my lovers that give me my bread and my water, my wool and my flax, mine oil and my drink. Therefore, behold, I will hedge up thy way with thorns, and make a wall, that she shall not find her paths. And she shall follow after her lovers, but she shall not overtake them. And she shall seek them, but she shall not find them. Then shall she say, I will go and return to my first husband, for then was it better with me than now. For she did not know that I gave her corn and wine and oil, and multiplied her silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal. Therefore will I return and take away my corn in the time thereof, and my wine in the season thereof, and will recover my wool and my flax, given to cover her nakedness. And now will I uncover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and none shall deliver her out of mine hand. I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts. And I will destroy her vines and her fig trees, whereof she has said, these are my rewards that my lovers have given me. And I will make them a forest, and the beasts of the field shall eat them. And I will visit upon her the days of Baalim, wherein she burned incense to them, and she decked herself with her earrings and her jewels. And she went after her lovers, and forgat me, saith Yahweh. Therefore, behold, I will allure her, and bring her into the wilderness, and speak comfortably to her. And I will give her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Achor for a door of hope. And she shall sing there as in the days of her youth, and as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be at that day, saith Yahweh, that thou shalt call me Ishti, and shalt call me no more Baali. For I will take away the names of Baalim out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. And in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground. I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely. I will betroth thee unto me forever. Yea, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness, and in judgment, and in loving kindness, and in mercies. I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know Yahweh. And it shall come to pass in that day I will hear, saith Yahweh, I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth, and the earth shall hear the corn, and the wine, and the oil, and they shall hear Jezreel. And I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that hath not obtained mercy. And I will say to them which were not my people, Thou art my people. And they shall say, Thou art my Yah. Yahweh bless the reading of your word. Mr. Parham, Mr. Holcomb, Ms. Creswell, blessings to you all. Thank you all for joining. Lady Miller, good to see you. Blessings to see you. All right. Thank you guys for joining. I've just read Hosea, the 2nd chapter. That's what we're talking about, and the intimacy, the relationship intimacy between Yahweh and Israel. Okay. And so I wanted to read a shorter selection, but I had to get all that whole thought in there. Miss Kelly, blessings. Good to see you. I wanted to get that whole thought in there in the 2nd chapter of Hosea for a reason. But if I could have, I really wish I could condense the 1st chapter, because really without understanding the 1st chapter, where everything's coming from, especially the names of the children that were told, that were given to Hosea's children, you really can't grasp the whole scope of things. But I'm going to try to work with it in the time that I have. Okay. And so let's try to put this together and explain it. So what Yahweh is saying through the mouth of Hosea is that his people have been unfaithful to him. And so, these are really my words here, but I'm trying to help you guys understand, if you will, the mother, when he says in the 2nd verse, plead with your mother. The mother here is the nation of Israel, and the children, when we're talking about, say to your brother in the 1st verse, say to your brethren, Ami and Ruhama, the children are the people of Israel. The mother represents the covenant relationship, the marriage between man and woman, and the marriage between Yahweh and his people. Okay. So in the children, the brethren and the sisters, they are represented with the mind state that Yahweh has towards them because of their actions. Okay. And that's why he tells Hosea to say to the children, Ami, meaning my people, and Ruhama, meaning mercy. And this is why I said I really wish I could have taken the time where I could have, but I didn't want to be too long before you guys. But the 1st chapter really drives home what is being presented here, because within the 1st chapter you have these names here, Ami, my people, and Ruhama, mercy. Well, what was happening here is between Israel and Judah, Israel was straying away. And so this prophet came along, and he was giving them a tangible example of its spiritual idolatry that he was trying to warn them to refrain from. And so he used the woman, which was his wife, and these children that he was told to name a certain name. Mr. Quarles, blessings to you, cuz good to see you. The children, he was actually told to give them their name, because what was the explanation of the names of them was, at one point he was told that the land hath committed great whoredom, talking about the land. And that brings another point that we talked about lessons back, where the land is actually his people. He wants to heal the land. He wants to heal his people. Okay. And so we sit here and we talk about Ruhama, and he says, "For I will have no more mercy." This is when he's talking about Israel and how the ways of those people are strayed away from his commands and how he's going to treat them. And he also says to Lo Ruhama, "You are not my people." Okay, and so he also says, "And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, You are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, You are the sons of the living Yah. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together and appoint themselves one head." Okay, I'll stop right there. But, okay, I hope you get the scope of what I was trying to say about the meaning of the kids. But Yahweh is pleading with his people to put away their whoredoms, their ways of following the other nations. What do I mean by whoredoms? The ways that have them going after other gods, other deities. These whoredoms have the people of Yah connected and married to these deities that they learn to depend on for like verse 5 says, for their bread and water and wool and flax, which is linen, and oil and drink. Okay. And so verse 6, I just want to make a point here. It says, "Therefore, behold, I will hedge up thy way with thorns and make a wall that she shall not find her paths." What paths? Just a question. Could it be in the sense that being turned over to a reprobate mind, allowing you to go ahead and do what you want to do? Not that it's right, but the go ahead to do what you want to do. Okay. Proverbs 12:28 tells us, "In the path of righteousness is life, in the pathway thereof there is no death." But here in Hosea, because of the nation's infidelity, the pathway is blocked. So I ask you again, what path is he talking about and referring to in Hosea? Okay, but so, all right. So verse 7, and it says here, "And she shall follow after her lovers, but she shall not overtake them. And she shall seek them, but shall not find them. Then shall she say, I will go and return to my first husband, for then was it better with me than now." Okay, so the first husband in Revelations 2 and 4 is speaking to one of the represented churches. It says, "Yet I hold this against you. You have forsaken your first love." So now do we see who we're talking about here? You know, Hosea was commanded to live out an example, but this example was a prophecy to give to the nation. Okay, and so now we see that we're talking about Yahweh and Israel, and so let's go on for at verse 8. "For she did not know that I gave her corn and wine and oil, and multiplied her silver and gold, which they prepared for Baal." Okay, at one point she did not know it was I who provided for her, not the deities that she chose to reverence and raise up now. I'm the one that multiplied her silver and gold, but they prepared it for Baal. Miss Curry, blessings. Good to see you this evening. And so let's keep reading. Verse 9, Hosea, 2nd chapter. "Therefore will I return and take away my corn in the time thereof, and my wine in the season thereof, and will recover my wool and my flax, given to cover her nakedness. And now I will uncover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and none shall deliver her out of mine hand." Verse 11, "I will also cause all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, and her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts." All right, so the mirth here, that's the word meaning happiness. So he's saying he will cause all her happiness to cease. Cease in the word also means to desist or rest. And desist also means to abstain or restrain oneself from doing or enjoying something. Okay. And we all know what rest means. And when you rest, there is only a temporary period of rest, not forever. Okay. It's only a temporary period of rest. And so for those that are alive, if you go beyond that temporary period of rest, that's called laziness. And for those that are alive in Christ, that is called slumber. So in Romans 11, chapter 8, verse, it says, as it is written, Yah has given them a spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear, even unto this very day. Even to this very day. Okay? We, this generation, we are not exempt. Okay? And so that's why this word is so important to us, to actually be revealed in us, for us to see what is really going on, what is really being told to us. Because we need the ears that can hear and the eyes that can see. Okay? So when we read cease in verse 11, it's not a cease to stop completely. It's a temporary stronghold that we must come out of. Okay? And so I just want to show you something real quick in Isaiah 66th chapter. We'll go there real quick. 66th chapter, 22nd, 23rd verse. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, says Yahweh, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, says the Yahweh. Okay, so this is the exact same happiness, mirth, worship, and celebration spoken of in Hosea 2:11. That's why I want to show you that. You know, it's the exact same thing that is spoken of in Hosea that is cut off, not completely, but temporarily. Okay, and we will be getting back to that. Now we know that not all will receive the word with full acceptance of heart. So while it may not be reflected in its fullness and entirety right now by those that seek to worship Yahweh, there is a time when Yahweh will reestablish his good and perfect will among all flesh. Okay, so that's how he's going to do it. Why do I say that? Because it's written in his word. But you know, let's go on down. Let's keep reading. Let's go on down to verse 12. Okay. And I will destroy her vines and her fig trees, where she has said, these are my rewards that my lovers have given me. And I will make them a forest, and the beasts of the field shall eat them. Verse 13. And I will visit upon her the days of Baalim, wherein she burned incense to them, and she decked herself with her earrings and her jewels, and she went after her lovers and forgot me, says Yahweh. See, right now, we are still abiding in this same practice. We're still abiding in this exact same practice. For instance, each of these holidays lift up a different Baalim. And this is what the nations depend on for economic success, just as the full-fledged pagans did in their rituals to these deities. It is still done, but with the cover-up now. A mask in disguise. And so we still go after those lovers and have forgotten Yahweh. Just like what the word says. You know, they went after these lovers and forgot him. You know, and that's what we're doing. And so and we don't depend on him. We don't depend on him as our ultimate source. And this is what we are guilty of, just as Israel was found guilty of time and again. It was revealed to them by the holy prophets. Okay. But I was looking forward to this, to verse 14, because the turnaround is oh so sweet. And this is what we are being drawn towards. Ms. Latham, blessings to you. Good to see you this evening. And so this is what we're being drawn towards, and it's not by power nor by might, but by his spirit, says Yahweh. So, for those of you just coming along, I'm in Hosea, the 2nd chapter, 14th verse now. And so 14th verse, therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably with her, unto her. Excuse me there. So remember a couple of lessons back, those of you that were with me at that time, we talked about the necessary journey through the wilderness where he leads and guides us down his pathway. Remember, I asked you about that pathway that's blocked, where you want to be led by him to get you through any obstacle. Okay, where he will speak comfortably to us. Okay, verse 15. And I will give her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Achor for a door of hope, and she shall sing there as in the days of her youth, as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt. Verse 16. And it shall be at that day, saith Yahweh, that thou shalt call me Ishi, and shalt call me no more Ba'ali. Ishti means my husband. And so a husband has a wife, and a husband and a wife are drawn together by intimacy. And it's not only by acts, by the way they treat each other, but, you know, it's also by how they talk, how they conversate and communicate with one another. And a lot of relationships, not all, but I know that there are quite a few relationships that, you know, when the husband and the wife address each other, they will call each other babe or bae, you know, one or the other. But, you know, by this, you know that they have progressed from the first name relationship to an intimacy of some kind that they understand within each other, the intimacy. You know, you're not just going to call anybody bae, okay, or baby, but usually that's reserved for a couple, husband and wife. I'm just leave it at that. And so the thing about it, unless they play the harlotry or the whoredom, they don't call anyone else their name. Okay. Kind of reminds me of the name of Yahweh. But, you know, the talk has intimacy. Okay. The talk has intimacy. And here, Ba'ali, the plural connotation. What's up, Coco? Blessings to you. Good to see you, cuz. And Ba'ali here is the plural connotation of gods. Several different that are referred on the same plane. Okay, on the same plane. All right. So let's go to verse 17. Hosea, 2nd chapter. For I will take away the names of Baalim out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. So the people that are called by his name will not have the name of Baalim associated with it. He won't, and we won't. Okay? He won't, and we won't. So let's finish reading. Verse 18. And in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of heaven and with the creeping things of the ground. And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely. And I will betroth thee unto me forever. Yea, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness and in judgment and in loving kindness and in mercies. I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know Yahweh. And it shall come to pass in that day, I will hear, says Yahweh, I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth. Let's stop right there for a moment. So in verse 21, this is proclaiming that heaven and earth will yield each other. Mr. Brown, blessings to you. Good to see you this evening. And so as they yield each other, the earth shall reproduce what Yahweh sows. Okay. The corn, the grain, the wine, the new wine, where we'll no longer be drunk from the cup of the mother of harlots' abominations that Revelation 18 speaks of, where it says that all nations were drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication that Satan has used to deceive the whole world. Okay. Mr. Everidge and Pops, blessings. Good to see you guys this evening. And so, when we wake up from the slumber, we'll no longer be in that state, the trance of the devil. Okay. That has us flirting with the lovers on the street corner and Satan working as the pimp. Okay. So let's keep going. Verse 23. Did I read? No, I didn't read verse 22. And the earth shall hear the corn and the wine and the oil, and they shall hear Jezreel. Verse 23. And I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that hath not obtained mercy. And I will say to them which were not my people, thou art my people. And they shall say, thou art my Yah. So a single sold out relationship that only a husband and a wife supposed to have, basically living in intimacy and holy matrimony. That's what Yahweh was calling out through the prophet Hosea. Okay. And so, we are his people, his bride. And Isaiah tells us, our maker is our husband. Yahweh Shuvahu is his name. And so, and when he returns, he's going to be looking for a bride that has made herself ready. And when he returns, are we going to be truly, or at least have made a sincere attempt to be aligned with this word so he can accept us and represent us in holiness and righteousness? Remember, what I'm saying is that we can't do it on our own. I want you guys to get that. So, basically him bringing us up and betrothing us to him in righteousness because of our faithfulness. Okay. And so Revelations 19, 7th verse, says, let us rejoice and exalt him and give him glory. Nothing else. No one else. Give him glory. Give him glory, for the marriage of the Lamb has come and his bride has made herself ready. Pastor Jackson, blessings to you. Good to see you this evening. And so in the natural now, you can tell your friend you ready to go when they come to pick you up. But until you put on your clothes, your garment, the whole armor, you're not ready. So I ask this question, who's ready to be ready? Who's willing to commit and only give him the glory? Okay. And what else does Revelation say? The Spirit and the bride say, come. And let the one who hears say, come. And let the one who is thirsty come. Let the one who desires take the water of life without price. And he is that living water. And the way to be pure is to only drink from his cup. And, drinking from his cup only, putting all the other lovers aside and being intimate with only him. Okay. Miss Moore, blessings to you. Good to see you this evening. And so there's something for us to definitely think about. And Hosea, he painted an extravagant picture for us to refer to. And I only, extracted chapter 2, but you have to, what does he say at the end of the entire book that we could be mindful of as well? He said, who is wise, and he shall understand these things, prudent, and he shall know them. For the ways of Yahweh are right, and the just shall walk in them, and the transgressors shall fall therein. There's something to be mindful of. So, this analogy that he used was very artful. I say that, very artful what Hosea used. But it presents another dialogue for us to actually think upon and consider. That we live our lives according to the requirement of the Yahweh's intimacy that he requires of us. Solely being in relationship with him. Okay, so I'm going to stop this message for this evening. I thank you guys for coming along and listening. I pray that it has blessed you all. And you guys that came on later on, I know I gave a short notice. Maybe you didn't get to see that, but hopefully you guys can go back and review it again and from the beginning. So till next time, guys, you guys be blessed. Love you all. To Yahweh we give all the glory, honor, and praise. Thank you, guys. Y'all be blessed.